Hello, I am P.B.S.L. Pushpakumara from University of Sri Jayewardenepura, Sri Lanka. Today I am going to talk about a very current topic relevant to Sri Lanka and maybe to some other countries as well. English language teaching in primary grades in Sri Lanka. Teachers' knowledge, attitudes, practices, institutional support, and perceived effectiveness. Well, so let's look at the introduction. We all know English. It's a gateway to educational and occupational opportunities. Especially in Sri Lanka, being a colonial country, we have a long history of English language education. However, unfortunately, students show poor performance in national exams. When they come to the university, also we observe that poor performance. Majority of them cannot use the language properly. So this raises concern about effectiveness of teaching approaches at different levels. So today I am going to look at how it happens in primary grades in Sri Lanka, which is a very critical period. So the problem statement, it's not prioritized in primary education, unfortunately, especially in grades 1 and 2. And even in grades 3, 4, and 5, this language is ignored due to highly competitive grade 5 scholarship. So as a result, what happens? Students miss the critical learning period. We all know it's the best time to learn a language is ages 5 to 12. We can now see this critical period. During this time, our kids in Sri Lanka miss that opportunity. Therefore, they have a weak foundation. When there is a weak foundation, we all know that the long-term learning difficulties occur. So they find it difficult to acquire the language or learn the language in the long run. Therefore, it's very important to investigate the teaching practices, institutional support, and teacher preparedness at primary level in order to examine how it happens during that critical period. So my research objectives are institutional practices, instructional practices, institutional support, and perceived effectiveness of English language teaching in primary grades. These are the objectives of this research. And also the teacher's knowledge and attitudes will also be looked at. So methodology I have used, it's a mixed methods approach. There were 39 primary school teachers. They represented different provinces in Sri Lanka. So we can see that they are coming from all over the country. So basically, it's a representative sample. We may be able to get the picture of basically the whole country, although the sample size is limited and small. And also they represent all four types of schools found in Sri Lanka. Type AB, 1AB, type 1C, type 2, type 3. So here we have teachers, the participants representing all four types of schools in Sri Lanka. I used an online questionnaire to collect data. The questionnaire consisted of open-ended questions as well as close-ended questions. So there were statistical quantitative data as well as qualitative data. The key findings, the positive aspects first I will talk about. Majority of teachers, basically those who were teaching above grade 3, they are professionally qualified and they possess adequate knowledge. So you can see now, have you received training in teaching English? Majority of them say yes, 84.6. Unfortunately, we have 15.4% of the teachers who have not received any form of teacher training to teach English. That's important. And also another positive aspect is that they are highly motivated and they enjoy teaching English. And also they use game-based interactive learning activities to teach young kids. They believe their teaching is effective. These are some of the positive aspects I was able to find during my research. However, we have negative aspects as well. This training is the problem, teacher training. And especially in grade 1 and 2, very little kids, maybe age 5, 6, a very critical period. We teach them activity-based oral English. We don't get them to write anything. It's only oral production. We are beginning to expose our country, young children to the English language. However, unfortunately, these classes are taught by generalist teachers without formal English teaching qualifications. That's the sad situation here. So, have you received training in English? Yes, majority, as I said earlier, also yes, but there are teachers, especially in grade 1 and 2, they haven't received any training to teach English. Even those who have got the training, we found it to be very inconsistent. Some have got 10 days freshers training, some have received higher national diploma and teacher training college diploma, diploma in English. So through different other courses. So internships, they have formal, informal, very basic qualification. We can now see, if you look at this table, this bar chart, you can see there is a significant inconsistency in teacher training programs in Sri Lanka. So they have different qualifications. So this suggests absence of a structured government recruitment policy. These are all teachers working in government schools, teaching in grade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So primary grades. So they are training, the training they have got varies significantly, and they have been recruited as they have been recruited, some have as English teachers, some as primary teachers, and they haven't got any training to teach English. So we now see clearly there is an absence of structured government recruitment policy. And also there is a shortage of qualified English language teachers. This may also be a reason why the government is compelled to recruit people with different qualifications. Not this is just a diploma, not even a degree. So below that, most of them. There are other challenges as well. Inequality in resource distribution, lack of institutional support, limited time allocation for English, pressure to complete syllabus. These are some of the challenges. They are also important. Pedagogical and classroom challenges, mixability, large classrooms, overemphasis on traditional methods, limited exposure to English outside the classroom, poor home support, because as I said earlier also, priority is given to grade 5 scholarship. So the language, English, is ignored. Limited collaboration among teachers even. So these are some of the issues primary grade teachers encounter in their day-to-day language, in their day-to-day classroom. So the recommendations, number one, I think the teacher development. The best thing would be to employ qualified teachers to teach English in all grades, including grades 1 and 2. Now this critical period, if the children learn something in a wrong way, or if the teacher cannot teach the language in the right way, we all know what happens then. Language is a critical thing. Perhaps these teachers do not have any training to train the children. So they don't know sometimes even how to pronounce words, because they are maths teachers, sometimes civics teachers, sometimes they teach their mother tongue, Sinhala, or even Buddhism, the religion, something like that. So they are not qualified to teach English basically, especially grade 1 and 2. So they miss this critical period to absorb the right pronunciation, acquire the right language patterns, maybe implicitly. But if the teacher doesn't know how to teach them properly, kids also don't learn them, then acquire the language. So sometimes we observed, in fact, teachers, they just play a recording of maybe they, if they have to let's say play a song, they just play a song maybe in the mobile phone. So is that the way? So there is a lot more to do, in fact. So the teacher can sing together, teacher can model, nothing can be done because they are not trained to do any of those things. So many things happen as a result. The children miss the important input, and they miss this opportunity at the right time. Therefore, also we believe that continuous professional development is also needed for those who have the basic qualification like diploma and training in primary English pedagogy. This is an entirely different pedagogy. So it is also important to train them. Workshops focusing on young learner engagement, because young learners are the people who absorb things very fast. So if something is not given in the right way, of course, they will miss that opportunity. So that is what happens then when they come to the university. It's very difficult for us to teach them. When they come to upper grades, very difficult to teach them. So another recommendation. So we can adopt learner-centered approaches, activity-based learning, and also we can use songs, games, storytelling in order to expose learners to English and develop interest. But is it possible for a teacher who is not qualified to teach English? Can they sing songs? Can they play a game? Can they tell a story in such a nice way so that they can attract the young learners? If the teacher is not an English qualified teacher, how can they do that? In terms of resources and infrastructure, we need to improve audiovisual materials, smart classrooms, phonic resources. At least the teachers may be able to use those resources and do something. But that doesn't mean that all these technological materials can play the role of a qualified good teacher. Teachers as human beings should be trained, should be given the necessary qualification, training, but at the same time, these can also be utilized appropriately and appropriate proportions. And also system level changes are required. For instance, we need to create opportunities to expose children to correct English at the correct time. Correct English, I would like to highlight that word, that the non-qualified teacher teaches English. Is that correct English is a question. So small sample class sizes, increased instructional time, more English speaking opportunities, and also we need to strengthen parental involvement because they focus more on grade 5 scholarship and ignore English. As a result, they miss this very critical time period to acquire the language. So all these things are important for us to see a better future and enhance institutional and administrative support as well. So my conclusion is that now in grade 3 to 5, the teachers are qualified, but they face significant challenges. As I outlined earlier, the resources, the training, etc. Unfortunately, the biggest problem lies in grades 1 and 2. Those classes are taught by non-qualified generalist teachers who do not know how to teach a language basically. So that's a problem, serious problem. And this continues in middle school and even tertiary school level universities. So we need to employ qualified teachers and improve support, resources, and training. So stronger primary foundation, better long-term outcomes. We all know this foundation is key. When the foundation is not strong enough, we cannot yield better results. That is what has happened in our English education in Sri Lanka. They miss the prime time of their life, the critical period, grade 1, 2. not qualified teachers. And 3, 4, 5, not enough time. Students are struggling with grade 5 scholarship, so English is ignored. Parents focus more on grade 5 scholarship, so English is ignored. When parents and the children focus on something else, English teachers find it difficult, even if they are qualified in some way or the other, they find it difficult to teach this properly. So, simply because of these reasons, many things happen. They miss grade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The prime time they miss the language. As a result, when they begin to learn in grade 6 onwards, they don't have a proper foundation. They have not been taught. That interest to learn the language has not been given to them. As a result, they find English boring because all of a sudden, when they go to grade 6, their syllabus is a bit slightly challenging because syllabus designers assume these kids have learned English from grade 1 to 5, which has not happened at ground level. So the kids find the book boring and difficult. As a result, they begin to hate the language, give it up, and gradually, when they go to grade 7, 8, things become more and more difficult. You all understand without a proper foundation, how can they acquire the language, acquire the principles, acquire the basic pronunciation patterns, sentence patterns. So it's more or less a struggle. Therefore, this is the picture we have, broader picture we have in our country, Sri Lanka. Proper English language teaching doesn't happen in primary grades. This continues until they pass out universities. So here we are trying to bend this huge tree, which is not possible. This could have been done when they were in the primary grades, slowly, gradually, during which anyone can acquire a language. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen. So this is the larger picture. So actions are required. Number one would be, as I said earlier also, employ right qualified teachers to teach in primary grades in Sri Lanka. That's all. Thank you. Goodbye.